Right.
Yo, it's not a trip down memory lane. Here's a little story now, let me explain. It's more.
You muted it, Jay.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Yo.
Hey, Jay, we can't hear any music.
There it goes. Back in it.
Yo, this is not a trip down memory lane. Here's a little story now, let me explain. It's more of an antidote, mixed with a lot of hope. This could be a lot of folks, single parent, dead broke. Spend a lot of time alone, making beats on the phone. Daddy ain't coming home, mama trying to stay strong. But her patience is running thin, getting sick and tired of all the trouble he's in. Fussing and fighting, it's hard to make friends, and she just gotta call, he's in the office again. One more time and they might suspend. Screaming, teacher, teacher, give him one more chance. Losing all faith like he just can't win. His back's to the wall cause he following trends. Afraid to seem weak so we gotta pretend. Life out of control, can't see no end. He needs safe space, someone to relate, help him to be great. She needs safe space, someone to reward, never to ignore. They need safe space, someone to respect, open intellect. We need safe space, got to regulate, try to balance the way. We need safe space.
Everybody. Welcome to the Safe Space Podcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
The whole team in the building.
What up, y'all?
Yes, sir.
What is this, episode 6? I think it's episode 6.
It is
That sounds
episode
right.
6.
I think it's episode 6.
That's what
What season?
I hope that's what it is.
Season 2.
Season dos.
Season 2, y'all. Season 2.
Yo.
We've learned a lot. If you do a recap, just do like a 30-second from each person. Just a recap of what stood out to y'all within the last 16 episodes. I'll start off. I put myself in the bind now. When
There you
Alicia
go.
told her fire story about her life and what she had to deal with to break into music and her passion for music, how it dealt with her mental health and how it helped her mental health. And when everybody around her, things around her wasn't easy, they weren't believing a lot of the things they're seeing. It was hard, but she broke through. And that really stood out as one of the prime podcasts for me. Yep. Next.
Appreciate you.
Man, you know what stood out for me? Probably the last episode we did when we had Hanani on.
Okay, you stole my answer. That's cool.
Yo, we in the zone.
We in the zone. We here.
So, yeah, we had Hanani on and she spoke about dealing with grief and losing her grandfather and her father.
Wow.
And the music that she put that served as like the healing process for that. That was special.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean, I was gonna say, just her telling her story about being in entertainment and, dealing with the things that she's had to deal with, body issues and all of that, because that's a very real thing when it comes to being in this business. So I just appreciated her vulnerability and sharing some of the things that she shared.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about
S-Dot, you here?
Yeah.
That's not vibing, yo.
Are you over there or are you over there?
Man, we all over the place. But the main thing that really stood out for me in this last season that we've had together, we've set a really nice table for everybody to heal. We've shared some vulnerabilities, challenges with anxiety, depression, and grief, and all of those things have been so transformational. As we've shared our vulnerabilities and challenges, we've also shared the things that have helped us continue to deal and stay grounded. And I know for me, observing everybody share has helped me feel more comfortable, and we're all healing together. So it's been great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shondan, what have you learned about keeping the camera on? What have you learned?
Come on,
Yo.
honey.
I'm having some technical difficulties over here.
You can tell.
Trying to get this set up.
You trying to get your good side? What are you trying to do?
Trying to get a side. Any side will be good at this point. All right. We'll just leave it alone. Leave it alone.
You know what the question was?
All right. What have I learned about
About
everybody?
Or what has stood out to you in these last 16?
I love Shondan, man.
What have I learned? Or what stood out to me?
Yeah.
I think it was kind of cool to find and listen to people talk about how music it's weird with me growing up listening to music and knowing the effect it has on me. I think like it's always like surprisingly cool to hear like other people like actually communicate and articulate how music has played a role in their life. And it's like what stood out is how many kindred spirits like I found out there like through the show. So I think that's what stood out to me.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
A lot of times.
Makes all the sense.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
A lot of us, man.
We got a special guest in here.
Well,
Yes. Who is that? Man.
hi, Miss Jackson.
Hey.
Right there.
Hey guys,
Hey.
Cracking, man.
Hey, girl, hey.
Haskell asked me to jump on tonight to try to fill in some gaps if he has any. So I feel like
Yes.
I'm like a fly on the wall.
You're a cute fly.
Aw,
Oh, here they go.
There you go.
That's all.
I heard
I
you.
love it.
The fly is fly.
All the hearts, one-sided heart. I'm on my phone. I can't hold the other side of the heart.
Aw.
I feel your.
Haskell
I
got
feel
the
you.
other side.
I got
Trying to
you.
be like all y'all amazing couples on the call. Just trying to
Mhm.
level up.
Yes.
Y'all got it. Y'all laid the foundation.
Well, if anybody has
Facts.
the dopest background award, it would be Jay and Alicia right now. Because that background in Utah, we got the fireplace going on in Utah. Chilling.
I thought it was
solid.
one of those virtual backgrounds, to be honest. I was like, dang, like, I want to pick that one.
Yeah, this is
Now
the
that
Utah
joint's
virtual
authentic.
background.
Yeah.
But you okay? Go put your hand in that fire.
Like,
Put your hand in the virtual fire.
Come on, man. Why would you do that? Why would you say that?
This is
Well,
supposed to
you
be a
guys
safe
went
space,
a
man.
snowy time. Are you?
Safe
you guys
space.
went at a snowy time. I hope you guys are staying safe.
Yes.
we are.
Good.
We are. It is very snowy right now, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew it was snowy when the locals were like, "It's really snowy."
Yeah.
We've never seen this much snow. Like, okay,
Hey.
Yeah.
so
It's
yeah,
wild out here.
yeah.
Wow.
But speaking of Utah,
Ah,
Mhm.
segue. Here we go. Here we go.
Nice
Huh?
segue there. Nice segue.
Huh?
we left off talking about Haskel's journey in music as an artist, and we hadn't gotten to the next phase of his life, so to speak. That all started, you could kind of say, all started in Utah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so
So,
for the people, for the listeners who weren't privy to be able to be at the 50th
Mhm.
and get the story, what can you tell us, man? What happened in Utah that changed your trajectory?
Yeah.
what didn't happen now? No,
Like
but
that
actually, you know, long story short, I met Cynthia in Utah, and I was super saved, so it really wasn't a thing of trying to get at her per se. I thought she was very beautiful, but me and my group that I was in, Straight Vocals, we made an agreement that we wouldn't use our platform or anything to get at girls, and we kept our word. And I asked for permission from my boys to actually talk to her. They were like, "Cool, you can go talk to her." And we talked. I think in the last podcast, where did we leave off? Did we leave off? We had already met, and the praying, and I was fasting, and the washing of feet and all that stuff. Did I say
Yeah,
that?
we got that.
You
And
went through
Cynthia
that.
said it didn't quite
Okay.
happen the way you
Okay.
had explained it.
Okay,
That's the
so
reason why she here.
that's where I'm gonna leave it off. So I think that's where I left it off. So all the listeners and people that's gonna watch this afterwards, you gotta watch the first podcast, see where it led us. So we left off at the washing of the feet. Cynthia, take it from there.
First of all, you look so nice in that blue. Like,
Oh,
I just want to say that.
Oh,
Hold on, I'm getting another call. I'm trying to send that to voicemail. I mean, the way you recapped it, it all sounded right. You know, Haskel came to Utah to sing. He's part of a gospel group. Every girl in Utah, there's not a lot of Black people, let me just say that. So whenever there's a new Black person, word gets around. This is before cell phones. And so everybody's like, there's 4 Black men in Utah that aren't from here. They're from LA.
Yeah.
Like, go to the park to see them. And so they had their little groupies. They had their little groupies and everything. And I happened to be assigned to their group as their chaperone. So long story short, Haskel was super saved, like he said. I was not on that timing. I was like super young. I'm still at the club. I'm still having a really good time. And Haskel's like fasting and praying for a wife, which I did not know till later, right? Who knew that of all people that would be me? But
Yeah.
when I met the guys, they were so genuinely nice and funny, and they had this joy about them that I had never experienced before in older people or younger people. And to see 4 guys from LA, just so people oriented was so foreign to me. So if you've ever been around Haskel and he's, you know, laughing and joking and he loves people and he's always looking for an opportunity to laugh, like that was him at 2023, like a people person. Everybody gravitated towards him and stuff. And so I can honestly say like that has been consistent his entire life. He is everybody's person at the end of the day.
Ah, he's too sweet.
Ooh. I mean, sweet. And I know he shared some of his story earlier, and like you wouldn't, he has no residue of his of some of the sad parts of his upbringing. You know, he doesn't wear that residue. He could be bitter and angry and frustrated and all of that, and justifiably so. But maybe Haskel can even talk about on a mental health, looking back on a mental health tip. You know, I know God kept you, but did you have tools during that time that you relied on? I know you mentioned sports and so forth, but as you became a young man, how did you navigate reconciling all that had happened to you and your new life?
I think that was one of the things I did talk about in the first podcast. And I used definitely music. Music was a huge part of my therapy. I used to love chords. I used to love a certain type of chord because it had a frequency in it that just gave me peace. And it's the pretty simple chords, like 2-3 chords in any key. Any song that had those chords in it, that on love with. So I would listen to those songs all the time. So music for me, like it was that. And then those chords became easy to play. Like I was self-taught playing piano, and I would find myself playing those same chords all the time. And it just really did something for my spirit. That was my own little kind of like private time. It just gravitate to that, the spirit of that song and the feel of music and what it does for you. And I would get lost for hours in music. And you know, I never like going back to that. It's like initially I wasn't doing music to make money. I really wasn't. And I really wasn't making money.
Tell them the truth.
And I wasn't making money. So I wasn't in it to make it, and I wasn't making it.
So
but there were times it all worked out. But I struggled a lot. I know what that beginning artist struggle is. I know what it's like when deals aren't coming through. Like, man, I'm telling you, man, it was rough. But I never contemplated quitting or giving up on music. It was just etched in me. I was like, I'm gonna die like this. I woke up like this, like I was like really bought in to doing music for the rest of my life. And I was willing to do it the hard way. And I feel like I did it the hard way, so a lot of people don't have to do it my way. Because I was super stubborn too. I wasn't willing to do a 9-to-5. I wasn't willing to do nothing other than music because I felt like you hear a lot of people around you saying, you gotta get it no matter what. Listen, when you have bills and you have family, you gotta think outside the box. You gotta do different things. So thank God for the Kanye West Foundation. I don't even know if I touched on that in the last podcast.
No, we haven't gotten that far.
Nah, not at all.
Wow. So we're gonna zoom forward because this podcast is gonna go pretty fast. I'm gonna try to go through these chapters of my life. Okay, so Cynthia and I end up getting married in 3 months. And I proposed to her. I'm zooming through. I proposed to her on the night of my brother's funeral. I don't know if I talked about my brother's funeral or brother getting killed or anything.
No, you did not, sir.
Not at all.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ramble through because it's a lot, and I want this to be just part 2. That's it.
Yo.
Sounds like we're going over.
No, fam. Take your time.
So,
take your time, brother.
Okay, so my brother and I had a house in Inglewood. I have 2 older brothers. It was a couple days I was having dreams. And this part is about my brother. I was having dreams that he had got jacked for his car, and that he was, somebody shot him or whatever. And so the morning of, I woke up and he was headed to work. He had a barbecue shop in LA on Western and like 75th or something like that. And he had a car wash in the back of the barbecue shop. So the morning he woke up, he's like, I'll see you later. I'm going over to the barbecue shop and I'll see you later. I was like, all right. I said, wait. I said, man, I've been having dreams about you and I don't know what you're doing, man. I don't know what's going on, but just really watch your back. Like, pray, have God to cover you. And he was like, really? He was stunned. He was like, whoa, what is that about? I said, I don't know, man. Just be careful. I said, I'll come up there and see you later. He's like, all right, cool. He left. I got up, got dressed. I drove up to his shop. As soon as I drove up, he came out from the back. And then we talked a little bit and he said, I'm about to throw some ribs on the grill and get the place ready. I said, all right, cool. He said, you should go grab some antifreeze for the car because I think it's low last time I drove it or whatever. I was like, all right, cool. So then I'm about to drive off and I looked at him. This was like a freaking movie. I looked at him and I was like, we called him Pummy, P-O-M-M-Y. His name was Harold Smith. We used to call him Pummy. So I said, Pummy, he turned around and I was like, I love you, man. And he was like, I love you too, ass. I love you, man. Just, be safe. I'll see you in a minute. So then I drove off, went to go get some food, got the antifreeze. I'm probably gone about a good hour. And then when I came back, it was like yellow tape all around the barbecue place. And it was a bunch of people outside. And so I was like, yo, this is crazy. So then I got out the car. When I was walking up to the place, somebody came from the back and knew me. And he was like, yo, man, something crazy happened. He was like, it wasn't your brother, but don't trip. Like, it wasn't your brother. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, well, what happened? He was like, I don't know, man. They trying to figure it out. So I kept going back there and then I saw somebody else I knew. And now that I think of it, I think it was my cousin. Now that I think about it, I think it was my cousin. He was there. And he said, man, oh man, Has. I was like, what's up? It's like, man, he shot your brother. Like, what? I was like, I just left. And they had already taken him because my other brother's girlfriend at the time, she was a nurse. So when she saw him laying on the ground, she started helping with CPR, but he was already gone. So she didn't want him to still be laying there on the ground when people are coming up. So she told the medics that came, he still got a pulse, he's still breathing, take him to the hospital. So they put him together, threw him on the thing and took him to the hospital. But he was already, I think they tried to resuscitate him. They tried to resuscitate him like 2 times or whatever. So all of this is happening. Kurt lived right around the corner from where the barbecue place was. I jumped in my car, I drove over to Kurt's house, and I was flying through the lights, stop signs. I mean, I don't even think I stopped at all. And I ended up at Kurt's, I ran in his house, and I was like, bro, my brother got shot. We need to go to the hospital. He's at Martin Luther King Hospital. He's like, all right, let's go, man. So he's trying to console me while still trying to get there. So we jumped in the car and we flying up to the hospital. So by the time I got there, really nobody had known yet. So it was me and maybe a couple other people. So I walk in, the doctor's like, they're back there working on him. And so I said, all right. So I'm sitting there and then I heard, come outside. Like God was like, come outside. I felt like him literally talking to me. So then I went outside, like go sit by that tree. It was a big, beautiful oak tree. And I sat at the foot of it and I was just praying for him. And God was like, he's with me. He's gone. And at that moment, I thought I was gonna lose it. Because I was like, man, I was really praying for him and believing for him. And he was like, he's gone. So a lot of thugs and stuff, people start showing up and family members, they start showing up to the hospital and nobody knew but me in the spirit. As soon as I walk in, it was, and my light keep cutting off and you already know my thing that's going on with this light, but I'm not gonna stop. This light, I'm gonna keep going. Can you guys see me? Okay.
Yeah, we can see you.
You got this,
really cool.
Doesn't mean this is a dark moment, just means my light cut off.
Yeah.
Hey, God's got
All right,
you.
so then when I went back in, I started seeing people, they crying, and then God put this strength in me like never before. The doctor came in right when I walked in, and he was like, he didn't make it, and everybody lost it in the waiting room. They just went crazy, and I just felt, I didn't feel anything at the moment, and I said, "Can I see him?" He's like, "Yeah, you can go back and see him." So me and my other brother went back. My brother didn't go all the way in; he couldn't really handle it. So then I went up to him, rubbed his head, gave him a kiss. I saw blood, I saw bullet wounds, I saw it all. And I'm like, I was just talking to him this morning, like, and I had a dream about this, and it actually happened.
Yeah.
And so I had this strength that I don't even know how it kept me. But from there, I went outside and I just began to love on everybody, hugging them. I was consoling them. I was just giving them all of me. And they were just losing it and going crazy. And I was like, man, like, I don't know how this is happening. So fast forward, he passed away. And then we ended up having his funeral and the viewing and all of that stuff. And I didn't break until actually about 3-4 days after he passed. I was at home. My group Straight Vocals was over at the house. And you would not believe what made me break. I mean, I broke like a freaking, I was snotty crying, man. I saw his shoes on the floor. And I picked up his shoe and I was like, oh, like he will never wear this again. It was over.
Wow.
It was a wrap. I fell on the floor. They grabbed me. I was crying for a minute. And it was tough.
Yeah. Can't even imagine. Can't even imagine. Grateful you were surrounded by your brothers at that time.
Yeah, definitely going through grief. It can be overwhelming feeling like you're alone. Mm-hmm. So being surrounded by a lot of people that really got your back and are open to just love on you is incredible. So how did they walk with you through that?
I think they just let me feel. They just let me they let me feel, talk about it, remember him. And I was able to grieve him over a course of like 2 years. I was grieving and I was having dreams about him almost every night. And in my dream, he was fully dressed. He was himself and he was smiling and he was, and I think over that course of 2 years, I was able to deal with it because it felt like he was still there. And it took me a while to get rid of his clothes and give them away. I gave a lot of his clothes away. But everybody grieves differently, Because when you're a person that that is always trying to position yourself to be there for other people, you know, it's hard to find moments to grieve for yourself.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to do that. All I knew was lift other people up, pray for them, be there for them, put a smile on their face. And I was grieving. I was like, so I had to have my grieving moments so that I can be who I, you know, was. But there were moments that God wanted me to just grieve.
Absolutely.
And it didn't matter how long that took. It could take as long as it needed to take, because that time is for you. You're trying to get questions answered and all that stuff, and just the violence that comes with living in LA. And I've lost a lot of people, you know. I've seen a lot of death. I've been to a lot of funerals, and I've had to sing at funerals. I've had to hold hands. I've had to help close caskets, like a lot, you know. And it definitely makes you appreciate life and appreciate people. So I think, Jay, when you asked me that question, the last podcast was about how are you able to make room for people and be there for other people and stuff like that. Is that because I know that life is short, and I know we all grieve differently. Some people grieve through anger. Some people grieve through just isolation. Some people grieve through music or dance or some type of art, or become workaholics. You know, I became a workaholic in that period too, when I was grieving, and I was working. I made some dope beats.
Yeah.
I got crazy with the beats and creating samples, and like I went crazy. I had a catalog of tracks, but I was grieving, and all my tracks were hard. Like, nigga, just like, it was crazy. And then I had a bunch of tracks that were soft and pretty, but yeah, I grieved through that moment. So coming out of that, meeting Cynthia and marrying her and proposing to her and everything, we became best friends because she knew my struggle and things that I had gone through and my loss, and I knew her struggles and what she went through, and her, you know, and that brought us close together, you know. And then after that, 4 years later, here comes Genesis. Mm-hmm. And having a child in moments where you're going through things financially and not knowing how bills are gonna get paid and everything, like, it does lighten the load, but it makes it a little heavier because now you're responsible for a child, right?
Sure.
I remember after we had Genesis, it was maybe 6 months in, I think. And I remember waking up about 3 o'clock in the morning and they were still asleep. And I went in the bathroom and I felt this heavy weight on me. It was like this burden that I had never felt before. I felt like I stood against the wall and I looked myself in the mirror and I just fell to the floor. And I started crying profusely, just nonstop, and just like trying to pray. But I was afraid. I was more scared than I'd ever been. And then after like 30 minutes, it just kind of lifted. And I was like, what was that? And God was like, that's you without me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, come again. Come again, God.
Run that back.
Like, that's you without me. Like, oh my gosh. So I can imagine people that don't have a relationship with God or haven't even tried him or is even afraid what some people may go through. You know, and the questions and the anguish, and because you can go through things even when you're in God, because we are human, but there's always a light at the end. There's always that silver lining. Like, he will bring you out. He will, you know, put an encouraging word in your heart, and he'll always create a way of escape for you. And So when he showed me that, I got up, I wiped the tears away. He said, go get a pen and a pad. And I remember I went to go get a pen and a pad. He said, draw a line down the middle, because financially it was bad. And I didn't know how to provide. I didn't really know what to do. He said, draw a line down the middle. He said, on the left side, you put what's for free. And on the right side, you need to put what's for sale.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what does that mean? He's like, what do you give your time? You give away your time. You give away lessons. You give away all these things. What do you give away? And I wrote the list down. There was a lot of stuff. And he said, what do you sell? And I was like, it was a small little list. And he said, what list is longer? And I was like, this freaking giveaway list. He's like, that's why you broke.
Yeah.
You need to even this list out, bro. You need to even this list out. So then, because I was getting a lot of calls for people to come do studio time. And I was like, man, I don't want nobody in my house. Like, they ain't coming to my house. That's crazy. And dude, I wrote my list.
That's people in this house.
And the next day, I made a call to about 4 people that have been trying to get in the studio. I called the first person. I'm like, yo, you've been asking to get in the studio. You still want to get in? And they're like, yeah, I still want to get in. I was like, all right, so how many hours you need? They're like 4 or 5 hours. At the time, I was charging $35 an hour. And then, they came, did the session. I called somebody else. Everybody was like, yes. I even called a cat from out of town. He was like, I'll fly in. I need a whole week.
Wow.
After that week, my rent was paid, my lights, we got groceries. We got good groceries. we got a side of fries too, baby.
Come on, bro. Come on.
It was good. It's like
the studio was our dining room. Like Mark, the studio wasn't. A lot of people think you got to start with like this image. Like literally, It was our dining room, and people were clamoring in to work with Haskel.
Wow. I was doing vocals by the stove, bro.
Hey.
So the vocals was
come on, Haskel.
The vocals was
out here. Out of the stove.
I did that.
We had a bird, and the bird would be on the song. So I would come home and I was like, why is my bird in the closet all in the track? I had to put the bird in the closet. And then
Genesis was on every track.
So I would have to leave while he was doing these sessions, and Genesis and I found every park west of the Mississippi. I mean, it's sometimes I hated it, but like looking back at it now, like to see somebody discover their worth and to really build a business was, amazing to behold. Like, it ain't for the faint of heart. I mean, I think everybody on this call has had to. I never call it a sacrifice. We all invest differently.
Yeah.
People will question how you invest. People will wonder, is it worth it? People will, they'll have a lot of opinions on how you invest in your future.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to step away from that. I really learned that from Haskel. Haskel, once he got it, it was over.
And it was a lesson to be learned, man. And then I learned how to work it. And the support of a wife, a supportive wife that believes in you through those moments is everything. Like that made a huge difference. She wasn't a nag to me. Like she wasn't nagging me. There was a couple times, there was times where she just needed answers. And she just like, I got some questions. I ain't got no answers. I don't have no answers right now. Whatever you about to ask, she's like, I want to ask you the question. And my pride would just die. I'd just be in a casket, bro. I'd be, oh, Jesus.
No.
And then she'd be like, when can we pay this bill? I have no idea. I have no idea for you. And then we end up in an argument until I understood he needs answers. He needs to know.
Realist. I mean, we compliment each other, and Haskell's not a dreamer to a fault. Let me not say that. But Haskell would have these ideas, and I would be like, so I have like 3 questions. 3 questions. And he would be like, "You such a dream killer." And
I was like, you just want your PowerPoint presentation, Haskell. That's all you have to do is just give it a presentation.
Man, just update that status, bruh.
Right.
I'm gonna build a studio in Ghana.
Yeah.
No. And then I'd ask questions or whatever. It would just be. But then so many of his ideas would come to pass, and I just had to trust the process. He taught me a lot about faith, and he also taught me a lot about sitting back and letting somebody come to their own answer. And I think sometimes we try to give somebody the answer. And I'm grateful there were times I was like really, really wrong. He really taught me that, like, things take time.
And I'm grateful.
Thank God
I'm grateful
for
for
Donda
that.
West.
Huh? What'd you say?
Thank God for Donda West.
Oh man. So after a while producing and stuff, I got a call from a friend, and she said, "Haskell, you should like teach kids. It's an opportunity. Donda and Beverly and Kanye, they're looking for someone to run the foundation, Loop Dreams." And I was like, "Working with kids?" They're like, "Yeah, working with kids." I was like, "Nope, not interested." And I said, "I'll talk to you later." Hung up the phone. The lady called back again. He's like, "Okay, listen to me. This is an opportunity for you to work with kids and really do what you do." And I was like, "No, I don't want to work with kids. I barely like them. And I am not gonna, I feel like it was a stoop down.
She said it was a full-time position. And that's
No, but that was the third. That was full-time position.
And
I was
you
like,
was like, heck no.
I'm producing tracks right now. I ain't got no time for that. And then I hung up. She called back the third time.
Yeah.
And she was like, "God said, this is an opportunity for you.
Yeah.
You need to consider it."
Yeah.
And I went and talked to Cynthia. I'm like, "Babe, what do you think about this idea?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute. Don't be so offensive. Like, don't be so." So then I said, "Okay."
I said you can hate it. If you hate it, then you know. But if you don't know,
at least try it.
Yeah. And you remember we made word searches for your icebreaker. You remember?
Sure
printed
did.
like 35 at home.
Sure did. So then, so I called her back. I said, "Okay, I'll take the idea." So I went to the audition. To the interview, not the audition. Went to the interview, sat down with them over at what was the name of that school? Got the name of the school, Accelerated School, the Accelerated School, and on Martin Luther King Boulevard in like Hoover or something. And I went up in there. I sat in front of Kanye's auntie and a couple, like a principal and a director. And so they asked a little bit about what I did. I gave them the spiel. They was like, "Okay, well, we'll think about it. We got other people coming in for the interview, and we'll let you know." I said, "Okay." I went home. Beverly called back about 3 days later and said, "We would love for you to come and do a display or do a demo of what you do in the studio." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Just do you, just do what you do." I was like, "Oh man." She said, "Okay, just do what you can." I said, "Oh my God." So then I got the phone. I was like, "Babe, I got to create a curriculum, a lesson plan. I got to tear my studio down and take it to the studio." And I was up like 4:00 in the morning, coming up with all this ideas of how I'm gonna do this before the class. I ended up going there on that day, and I had my equipment up in the front of the room. I had my MPC machine. I had 2 speakers, and I had a keyboard and like a small mixer or whatever. And the class was looking at, they were all in middle school, and they looking like, who is this guy? Like, what is he doing here? And I was looking at them like, I don't want to be here. Like, you know, and they're looking like, so then they introduced me, and I was like, yo, I'm Haskel. I've been in the music business, blah. I've had some opportunity to work with different people that you may know, and they're still giving me like the hard face, like, come on, let's go. I was like, geez. So I said, I'm gonna give you guys an example of what I do. So when I start putting my plugs together, plugging in my keyboard, MPC machine, everything up, and then I got audio, so I started hitting the drum machine. Then they started screwing up, and I made this fire 4-beat loop. I put chords on it. I started spitting, I started freestyling to the class. I'm like, yo, blah, 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 blah. So about good 5-10 minutes, and I turned it off, and they were like, and he rushed me. They came in front of the class, and they were like, oh my God, who to be in your class? And the teacher had to come and sit them down. And I was standing there like, I was like, yo, music is powerful. I was like, this is crazy. And so that class ended up leaving. I had to do it for 2 classes, both same response. At the end of the presentation, there was a lady sitting in the back of the room. I walked up to her, and no, she said, come back here. She said, come here. I went back there, and she said, what you did was amazing. I was, wow. She said, how long you been doing music, blah, blah, blah. I told her. She said, Kanye would love this. I said, do you know who I am? I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know. She said, I'm Donda. And I was like, you're Donda West? He's like, yeah. I love what you did. That was amazing. I said, wow. Blew me away. So she said, we got people to interview. I can't promise you nothing, but I just want you to know you did a great job. I said, thank you. And then I left. On a Sunday morning, I get a call. Do you still want to accept this position? We chose you out of all these people. And I was like, wow. And then she said, okay, I'm gonna invite you through. We're gonna come, we're gonna sit down and talk. We start talking lesson plan and what my ideas were, how to bring music into the schools. And way before a lot of things that are happening now, it was like, I was already in the mix of putting music in schools like that. So we built a bond. She hired me, gave me everything I wanted. I don't even want to say it on here, but I'm gonna tell you this. She was like, what do you need? And I said, really? She said, no, everything. What do you need? I said, well, give me a minute. Because I learned a long time ago, don't just give a quick answer. Think about it, pray about it, write it down, get your mind, get your thoughts right. I got off the phone, called her back, and I told her everything I needed. And I was shaking a little bit. And she said, okay. Oh. I looked at Cynthia, I was like, okay, like she gonna give me everything I need for this school. Gave guy everything. Wow. Not even a budge. We had the release, we had the opening, the launch of the foundation at Challengers Boys and Girls Club. And that went amazing. And then she passed before then, babe?
No,
she was there at the launch.
No, she was at the launch because Kanye came, and you remember he had some challenges that she kind of walked him through that.
Yeah.
But I think it's, if I can interject, I would like to say that doing something you love is one thing, but then being educated to make that thing tight and be willing to learn and get some guidance was everything. Yeah. Because I think from all the producers and music people I had met after moving to LA, like it was very much like grind, try to get on, get song placements and everything, and everybody had their way of doing it. But this position taught Haskel, like, there's some ways and there's some things that you have to be able to do. You have to be able to budget. You have to be able to know what type of equipment you need. You need to be able to walk in the Guitar Center and understand and articulate what type of workstations you need, how many computers you need, what you're trying to do. And I think that really honed your gift in so many ways, because you can go in now and you can look at something and say, you know exactly what you need, how it needs to be done. You can walk into a space and not only teach people how to do music, but teach people how to eat and do music. And that opportunity really taught you that, because it was humbling for you. I mean, even when they offered you the position, you felt like you were dying a little bit. You're like, man, I'm about to leave being free to now have to answer to somebody. But it was such an amazing thing to behold. And after the foundation, after Donda died and Kanye, you know, had to step away from that, it was like really painful for him. And we understood that. Haskel walked away with classroom full of equipment. They were just like, Haskel, if you want this equipment, you can have it all, like thousands and thousands of dollars, in order to go into other school programs and offer and offer the beauty of music. And even though Kanye stepped away, the kids loved Haskel. They were like, please don't leave us. He had 3 schools at that time. And he looked at me and he's like, oh my gosh, like I can't just donate all my time to all these schools, but I love these kids and I don't want to abandon them. And he saw kids that were really living hard lives have something to look forward to. And God blessed, because the principals of each one of those schools said, you will not leave. We will find it in the budget to keep this music program here. And it won't be Loop Dreams. It'll be Haskell Jackson. And it was a beautiful transition, because he came from just the clout of the Kanye West Foundation to people realizing it wasn't Kanye at all. That was just a name, but it was Haskel's heart that drove this program. And I think sometimes we forget that. We want to come under some type of name or some type of accolade or something we can attach ourselves to, but our very heart and our passion is enough.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
And you were enough. And you are enough, always.
Yeah,
absolutely. You gotta say that.
That's the truth.
Yo. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. Right, Deaconess.
We'll start the offering off at $5.
Virtual collection plate.
Oh man.
No, that's real talk.
Wow.
That's real talk. I learned a lot. It put a lot in me, and I was under the gun. I had to deliver. Because we had meetings and they're like, so what's going on here? What are you doing? I had to deliver. And I just had to put my heart and soul. But I would not be doing what I'm doing now with children had it not been for the Kanye West Foundation. That like lit a fire in me. And for Donda and Kanye's dream and passion, like they handed that baton to me. So when she passed, I grabbed that baton and I felt responsible to like keep it going, keeping that torch lit. And it's still lit today. That's why Music for Your Mental as a part of that fire in it, because of the Kanye West Foundation. I'm grateful for that. And so, yeah, that in itself was huge. Man, where do I go from here? Oh, you know what? Because time is running out, I did want to show a video. I want you to play this video, Jay, and it'll give you a little insight on some of the things I did in the past.
Okay.
We'll it's like a highlight reel. Like college.
It's about to get real, y'all. Reel it.
1998.
Oh, snaps. We going back.
The Addams Family. The Addams Family. Oh, the Addams Family. I'm coming at you now. Oh, the Addams Family. Oh, no, the Cookie Family is the Addams Family. Oh, ba 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 boom.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family. Their house is a museum. When people come to see them, they really are a scream. The Addams Family. They're neat, sweet. Oh, they're so petite. So get her with your shawl on, a broomstick you can crawl on. We're gonna pay a call on the Addams Family. The Addams Family. The Addams Family. Ho, the Addams Family. Coming at you now. Ho, ho. Here comes the Addams Family. Yeah. The Addams Family.
Enjoy the show and be sure to check out the new Addams Family television series, only on the Fox Family Channel.
Hey.
Yo, Addams Family in the building.
Why do I feel like I've seen this before?
Did you guys know that Haskel at one point was the Eastwood Insurance?
Oh, no.
What? You know,
Eastwood.
Wait a minute.
They had the one guy with the cowboy hat for a long time. And then Haskel became the Eastwood Insurance little rapper guy.
Wow.
Wait, what?
Wow.
I wish we could find that.
That is crazy. Yeah, I was the Eastwood Insurance guy. I've lived a lot of lives, y'all. Y'all don't really know, y'all.
Yo, Clint Eastwood, tell us all the
So
story.
yeah, that was amazingly fun. But yeah, so I would say just in this, that music, and from there to where I am now, working with different artists, grateful for the Grammy nominations I've gotten, the places I've been able to travel, the people I've met. Music has allowed me to meet so many different people, be in front of so many different cultures, and just understand, like, we all gravitate to music somehow. It doesn't matter what genre, what tempo, we all have that in us. And that's what has allowed me to touch a lot of people and be touched by a lot of people. So I'm super grateful. And thank you guys for giving me this safe place to speak.
Absolutely.
And there's more to come. I'm just getting started. I'm just getting started. Just getting started. It's a brand new day, brand new season, and there's some really amazing things happening, including Music for Your Mental. I'm super excited about Music for Your Mental, something I've never done before. And being with a family like this, like, we have a ton of fun and we handle business and we keep it professional, but we're goofy as heck. And like, this podcast has been amazing. And eventually people gonna be
Haskel.
Yo, should I
Good point.
Shout out to the motion detector.
God dang.
Comic relief like a mug.
Not you scooting the car. Come on, Hask.
Oh man.
Well, it's officially 9:00. Haskell, give your shout outs. And as we sign out, after that, I'm gonna play the theme song for this week.
Oh yes, okay.
I'm with that.
Shout out to my beautiful wife, Cynthia. I love you so much, baby. Thank you for always being in my corner, having my back. You've been amazing. You delivered one of the most amazing people in the world in Genesis. Genesis, you're not here with us. You're at work, you're grinding, but I love you very much, and I think you're amazing. Shout out to Music for Your Mental, all you guys. I love you guys. Stevie, shout out to Stevie. He's away right now. But yeah, shout out to us. Shout out to us.
So on that note, thank you everybody who tuned in on the live. Thank you for all your continued support. And until next time.